Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, here to discuss something I don't want to have to discuss, but it's an unfortunate reality for the Cowboys. The future of Dak Prescott and some possible replacements. Now, before we even dive into the list, I do want to make something clear. Your best option, the thing that I want to do, is to keep Dak. Now, you guys can get your votes in here. Why for yes you want to keep Dak, and for no you don't. If you don't want to keep Dak, this video is perfect for you. If you do want to keep Dak, I agree. The problem is we have to have this conversation because the Cowboys could totally mess this whole thing up. Look, we have to acknowledge the very real possibility that at some point, maybe it's in the offseason, maybe it's after next year, Dak's not a Cowboy. Because they might have to tag Dak Prescott again, and they don't get a long-term deal done. And if that's the case, as an organization, it would be an extra level of failure and ineptitude to not look at other quarterback options. Make no mistake, if you don't pay Dak, you failed. You failed as an organization in a rather historic way, quite frankly. The only way you could make it worse is if you didn't pay your top 10, top 5, top whatever quarterback, and then lost him for nothing and had no idea what you were going to do next at quarterback. So there are some key offseason dates to keep in mind here. The biggest one, March 9th. That is the deadline to use the franchise tag. Folks, that is coming up in less than a month. March 15th, I'm going to call it the start of NFL free agency. That's when you can start negotiating. April 29th is the start of the NFL draft. I would argue somewhere between that March 15th and that April 29th deadline, those two dates, kind of close to your drop-dead date. I know that the extension deadline is after the NFL draft. It comes up in July, but if you don't have a deal done by then, are you really going to get one done? And if you don't, you're picking number 10 overall. You have to explore the possibility and the options out there of, we're going to lose Dak. What are we going to do at the most important position in the NFL? Now, in reality, there are three ways to replace Dak Prescott if that's the route you choose to go down because you're silly. Type D for draft, F for free agency, or T for trade. We're going to break down all of those here in just a second. All right, so let's go with the trade one, right? Because those got the biggest, sexiest names. You can get this guy, this guy. For starters, by the way, I do not trust this organization to trade away Dak Prescott and get something back that's really good like draft picks. It's possible, but I don't have a lot of faith in the team to actually pull that off. So what we'll begin with here is some significant names. Three names that they're not going to happen, guys. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan. Seahawks can't afford to trade Russ right now. You can't trade Dak for Deshaun because Dak's not going to want to play in Houston. And then Matt Ryan, who, big name, I get there's the Dan Quinn connection. Older, worse quarterback. It doesn't make sense, or at least at all, for the Cowboys. So those are your three. Don't get your hopes up. Now let's look at some guys that it could happen, but is this really what you want? Derek Carr is, I think, the best quarterback on this list. He's a downgrade from Dak, though, and I don't think you're going to win a title with him. The same is true of Jimmy Garoppolo, who is a fine back-end starter, but you're going to pay him $20+ million? Just pay Dak, right? Carson Wentz. Sorry, I puked a little bit there. Gross. No desire on that one whatsoever. That sounds like the absolute worst idea ever. So those are the three, I guess, bigger names on that list. Another name to just keep an eye out for, I guess, because the Raiders want to move him, Marcus Mariota. That's like going with Andy Dalton all over again. Like, sure, he could be your stopgap veteran. He ain't your future. So at that point, what's really the point if you're the Cowboys? And then finally, Sam Darnold. Of the names on this list, this is the one that at least makes me go, well, maybe I could make him great. Darnold, the former number 3 overall pick, is still on the right side of 25. He's crazy young still. He just has never been good. It kind of borders on that whole draft pick thing. Well, he could be a boat maybe. Maybe in Dallas he capitalizes on his potential and he has a Ryan Tannehill-esque, breakout away from Adam Gase. It's not what I want to bet my franchise on, but if you're desperate, I think I'd rather have Sam Darnold than Carson Wentz. Seems weird, but I just don't trust Wentz anymore. So who is the best trade option to replace Dak? Obviously, it's Deshaun, but that's really, really unrealistic. But get your votes in for me in the comments. The single best trade option if you were to move on from Dak Prescott this offseason. Let's go free agency now. Jameis Winston. I like it for the potential of comedy. You move on from Dak, you're not going to be as good. Let's go 30 for 30. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. What could possibly go wrong? Cam Newton. I remember last offseason, you guys, you know who you are, who were like, dump Dak, sign Cam Newton. We all know how that turned out. You could bring back Andy Dalton, which is a choice. I'm not going to say it's a good choice, but it is a choice. That's a possibility. Speaking of a choice, Mitchell Trubisky. Guys, it's a really bad free agency class. Like, it's not fun. This is not a good grouping whatsoever. That's why you should pay Dak to begin with, but whatever. I mean, if you just want to go for the fun of it, Fitzpatrick. He'll make some plays for you. He'll also make some plays for the other team. Now, remember the cycle of Fitzpatrick, by the way, folks. You must make him the backup first, because then he plays better. Once he gets named the full-time starter, it's just not that great in the end. So we went through trade, now free agent. Who is the best free agent to replace Dak Prescott? And if you guys want to just type in none, I suppose that's fine, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Today's show made possible by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Please pay close attention here. If you want to get a 125% deposit bonus and help out the show along the way, you must use the URL below me, chatsports.com/bet. Otherwise, it's going to be all janky. Chatsports.com/bet. And then don't forget to use that promo code Cowboys125. I know the NFL season's over, but you can bet on, at some point, I think baseball. Who knows? They're always a train wreck of a sport. Basketball. And I like to bet on golf because I am a strange person. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code you see. That's Cowboys125. Let's talk draft now. And if you are going to be forced or choose to willingly for reasons, move on from Dak Prescott, I firmly believe that the draft is the best path to replacing him. Now, there is one big thing we must keep in mind. In reality, you have to plan on being worse for a few years. And frankly, if you're not going to pay Dak, I would argue your best bet is to blow the whole thing up, rebuild for a couple years, and try and build a team and win on that rookie contract, as difficult as that is. But I think, as we saw this year, Dak covered up a pretty good amount of the flaws on this team. Now, I got some quarterback prospects to look at for you guys. One name to not even ask about, Trevor Lawrence. It's not happening. He's going number one. You're not getting the number one overall pick. Just like Joe Burrow last year, folks, it ain't happening. Don't even bother. So let's look then at some guys with a little bit higher probability. We'll begin with Zach Wilson, the BYU quarterback, coming off a true breakout year. And frankly, his 2020 tape, it's up there with some of the best quarterback tape of this year's class. It was that good. Now, the problem here for Zach Wilson is there's only 1 year of production. But the guy I saw this year for BYU was awesome. He has, I've done my film study on him, a round one grade. He's got the athletic arm. He's got the mobility. He's able to make some great plays outside of structure, which I believe in this day and age of the NFL is essential. He also gets his footwork lazy, and there has yet to be a clean pocket he hasn't want to bail out of yet. So, plus you throw in the 1 year wonder, the lack of great size. I understand the concerns. He might be gone, though, before the Cowboys get a chance to take him. You would probably have to move up for Zach Wilson, and I would say to probably pick number 3 or maybe 4. I think he might go pick number 2. But he is one of the non-Trevor Lawrence prospects to look at. Now, if you guys want to stay updated on Dak Prescott, his free agency, the drama, the trades, everything around it, hit that big red button and subscribe. I know it gets a little bit frustrating, but it's the franchise quarterback. He's kind of a big deal. So if you want to know what's going on, hit that big red button and subscribe today. Let's go to Justin Fields now, who I've been pretty impressed by in 2 years at Ohio State. He checks off all the boxes you want, what I call the 3 A's I look for in a quarterback. Arm, accuracy, and athleticism. Do you have the arm to make the NFL throws and probably then some? Are you accurate throwing the ball into tight windows and throwing the ball in general? Do you have the athletic ability to survive in the modern-day NFL? Justin Fields does. Now, my biggest concerns around Fields are, A, the Northwestern/Indiana games, but, and I got burnt on this a little bit when watching Baker Mayfield, the Ohio State scheme, it is wonderful. And as a result, receivers are open. Justin Fields, and there are a lot of different combination routes mixed in there too, didn't often have to or was asked or pressured to go off of his first read. Like against Clemson, for example, when he lit them up, I mean, it was easy pickings. His first guy was open. And that worked wonders. That's a good thing. The traits are all there, but I think there might be a bit of a learning curve for Justin Fields, as there is for many quarterbacks. And he also, of course, might be gone the top 5 picks. The name that intrigues me the most in a terrifying way, both positive and negatively, is Trey Lance. Now, he only played 1 game in 2020, but I think he is the most athletic quarterback in this year of these top 4 guys, and has an arm that also might be the best in this year's class. He's got a cannon, man. The problem is, this dude has never played anything remotely resembling NFL competition. He's only played FCS programs. The best team he played was James Madison with Ben DiNucci? Central Arkansas? Like, not even normal Arkansas. Central Arkansas. Not even Arkansas State. One of the not cardinal directions, but just Central Arkansas. It's weird, right? Like, it's very strange. So, that gives me major concern. The accuracy can be a little iffy at times, but in terms of, like, upside, it's there. Now, in the end, I still think with all 3 of these quarterbacks, you're hoping to get a Dak Prescott caliber player. That would be great for any team that drafts them. But if one of them is there at number 10 overall, and you haven't paid Dak Prescott yet, you got to think about it. So pick one for me. JF for Justin Fields, type TL for Trey Lance, or type ZW if you want to go with Zach Wilson instead. All right, your non-top 10 guys, because Mac Jones is in there too. God, I would be so mad if they just took Mac Jones at 10. I would lose my cool. He has to be in a good situation, and I think he could have some success with the Cowboys. Also, he doesn't have the arm or athletic ability that I covet. Kyle Trask is like Mac Jones. Hit the downgrade button. My nightmare is he's the pick in like round 2. Kellen Mond and Jamie Newman, frankly, both have the arm and the athletic ability. The problem is they are not accurate, and they are very inconsistent players. And I am worried the Cowboys go, well, we found Dak in the 4th round. Let's just take someone there. And that's where Newman and Mond should go. There's also Davis Mills from Stanford. Hasn't played very much, but also has some tools worth keeping an eye out for. But in the end, if you don't pay Dak, big mistake, you got to look draft if you're going to try and find your next quarterback.